Beyond
3D. My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
And by all NBC stations, a hotline bulletin in 10 seconds.
Several shots were fired as President Kennedy's motorcade passed through downtown Dallas. The crowd screamed and lay down on the grass. As the motorcade went by, it was not known if the shots were aimed at the president. Repeat, it is not known if the shots were aimed at the president.
Here is a flash from the Associated Press, Dateline Dallas. 2 priests who were with President Kennedy say he is dead of bullet wounds.
White House Press Secretary Malcolm Kilduff has just announced that President Kennedy died at approximately 1 o'clock Central Standard Time.
He died of a gunshot wound in the brain.
After being shot at by an unknown assailant during a motorcade drive through downtown Dallas.
We have suffered a loss that cannot be weighed. I know that the world shares the sorrow that Mrs. Kennedy and her family bear.
Saturday evenings in and around the peninsula, welcome to this week's edition of Beyond 3D. Matt and Clint sitting here in Studio 2, the Bendigo Bank studio at RWP 98.7, 98.3. Clint.
Good evening, Matthew.
How's the week been?
It is what it is. It has been what it's been.
Fair enough.
I don't understand this world anymore.
It's really gotten to the point of the ridiculous, but we started the show off talking about, or listening to, former President John Fitzgerald Kennedy and his speech, his inauguration speech, and this past few weeks, finally, information that had been held for about 50 years was released.
It wasn't just his inauguration speech, it was his termination we played there as well.
There you go. Well, more information has been released.
I know.
And it's been very interesting what that information tells us, and it's also interesting what that information doesn't tell us. Now, 300 documents have been held back.
Why?
Because they need to redact them.
Of course they need to redact them, but what's the point of releasing them if you're not going to provide the truth?
Well, they still believe that if they tell the truth, a lot of people can get into trouble.
Of course.
Even in the form of an agency or two. But there was some interesting information that was released around the entire Kennedy situation that a lot of people didn't know in the past. So that's something that we can talk about, starting with...
Where are you going?
The coroner basically stated categorically that there were 2 shooters. Minimum.
Okay, you're not telling me anything I don't already know.
Well, a lot of people still adhere to the lone gunman theory.
Excuse me while I'm swallowing a mouthful of coffee there.
Mm-hmm.
People are idiots.
Yeah.
The people that still subscribe to the dinosaur media are idiots.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, but the fact of the matter is there are some people, if you mention anything other than Lee Harvey Oswald from the book depository with a toy gun, they don't want to believe you. So the coroner stated, and they've released the papers now stating that there was at least 2 shooters.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
The minute that they've done that, it opens up a Pandora's box of who is the second gunman.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so there's a little bit of disclosure there that it wasn't just Lee Harvey.
Well, one of the people that they mentioned was a Dallas police officer by the name of J.D. Tippett, I believe. They said he has a lot more to do with it than most people would think.
Okay.
So that could be another shooter?
I'll tell you something that did get released in those CIA documents.
Mm-hmm.
A senior CIA spook turned their eye towards Canberra's Kingston Hotel. Now, the Kingston Hotel is situated in Canberra. After a series of curious phone calls the day after President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, Matthew. The calls were made by a Canberra-based informant who was claiming high-level contacts, get this, with Russia's diplomatic establishment at the time, and he went on to spill his guts about a Soviet Union plot to kill the president.
Well, look, they're all trying to kill each other, I think, depending on what's going on in the world at the time.
But there were many cables that passed between Canberra and Washington following that tip-off. And
that's the way it is.
Well, that's the way it is, but the CIA wanted some informant to try and identify who this person was, but they couldn't. So the calls were detailed in a series of intelligence memos declassified and released recently in that dump that you were talking about.
Yep.
Of over 3,000 documents.
Yep.
And, in there were calls that were quickly dismissed as cranks, apparently, but they also sparked a CIA investigation that uncovered 3 years of correspondence between American officials and the mysterious Canberra figure referred to only as the Polish driver. CIA officials believe that this Polish driver's contact with the United States Embassy in Australia began 3 years before President Kennedy's assassination with an intriguing call to Ambassador William Sebald. So, at 5 minutes to 9 on the 9th of August 1960, the Marine Guard telephoned Ambassador Sebald to say that he had a man on the Chancery line who refused to give his name but wished to speak, read one cable sent from Canberra to the CIA's director in 1963. So there was something very, very, very deep and clandestine, not just happening in the alleged book depository, but also in Canberra at the time.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when information that has been withheld for a very long time all of a sudden comes to light.
But that all came from the Kingston Hotel in Canberra. So those calls were made. So, and he actually claimed that the two men that you are looking for are currently in Moscow. So you turn around and say that the coroner said that there was a second gunman. In these declassified documents, that there was a call coming from Canberra from the Kingston Hotel where this informant said that the two men you are looking for are currently in Moscow.
Well, there you go. What will happen? Probably nothing, which is a darn shame, but there's a lot of information now that needs to be gone over. And what will happen is people will go over it, and as they keep on going over it, they're going to start finding documentation about the fact that Adolf Hitler actually did survive World War II and went to South America.
Of course he did.
Yeah, and all of these things are now coming out. Most governments, Western governments at least, the Allied powers knew exactly what was going on, but it was just a matter of what were they going to do about it. They were bringing in the German scientists into the United States to basically get all the information from the rocket programs and all the things they were doing.
And create the organization called Never a Straight Answer.
Yes, absolutely, NASA. That is what was going on, so you are not going to all of a sudden worry about the fact that a deposed leader who allegedly died in a bunker, didn't actually die in a bunker, but lived out his life in Bariloche in Argentina. Oh well. That's what was going on with that. So a lot of Kennedy file documents have been released, and now people can go over them and come up with new revelations once they finish reading through them and can try to connect more dots.
How many pages did you say were redacted? 300?
300 reports, are not released. They're supposed to be released in another 6 months, I believe.
Yeah, it just gives them a chance to black it all out and photocopy
absolutely.
it.
So if George Bush's name appears in it anywhere, they can basically...
Senior.
They can basically black it out. Yeah. So those are the things that are going on around the Kennedy documents. Now, this past week, it has been a lot of fun in the United States as well around a so-called terror plot in New York City.
Now, again, as I say every week, I don't plug myself into the mainstream media matrix.
Yes.
I like to detach myself as often as possible, and this is the first time I've even heard you or anybody mention this, so fill me in.
In Lower Manhattan, in around the area where the World Trade Center is, in the area known as the Tribeca, which stands for Triangle Beneath Canal Street, a person from Uzbekistan, I believe, decided to take a rented truck and drive it along a bicycle path for 20 blocks or 1 mile, mowing down as many people as he possibly could along the way. So about 8 people were killed and another dozen were injured before he was taken alive by the police. They did shoot him, but then I'm very surprised that he was taken alive, quite frankly.
I don't understand why there weren't concrete pillars on a bicycle path to protect people from being mowed down.
The bicycle path was separate from the road.
Yeah, well, that's usually how it works.
Yeah,
but I'm saying why...
with a concrete pillar, but he got somehow behind that concrete pillar and just went right up the bicycle path.
I don't know, like I said at the start of the show, I don't understand this world anymore.
Well, I don't understand it either, and now what most of the people in the United States at least are saying is, how is it possible that this guy is alive when you have police officers in the United States seeing a 12-year-old with a toy gun and say they fear for their safety and just shoot them dead. And I think that is a very interesting query to ask.
Hence the reason Colin Kaepernick's taken a knee.
Hence the reason Colin Kaepernick has taken a knee, and they have talked to this person in hospital, and he is very glad about what he did and said, if possible, would do it again.
Is there a reason behind it?
Oh, ISIS, the usual rigmarole, which is allowing the current president to once again state that this person came in on a diversity visa, green card kind of a situation, and to say it needs to be tightened up, they need to get rid of that, etc., etc. It's getting to the point where you just want to say, you know what?
No.
Whatever.
No, because I don't understand this. I don't understand. It's almost like somebody went out and did the one thing that would aid Trump's cause to tighten the noose of
they're dumb.
What he wants.
Yeah, they're dumb. They don't get it.
No.
They don't get it at all. And it also helped, in my opinion, help the administration because of all the trouble they're in right now, because of the indictments that had gone through, which we can discuss when we come back.
Beyond 3D. Welcome back tonight to another edition of Beyond 3D, Matt. It's nice to be back in the studio tonight with you.
Absolutely.
We've both been a little bit tagging in and out of the last couple of weeks.
Oh, yes. Well, anyway, as we were saying, there's a whole lot of goodies going on worldwide. We're going to get into the ufology, and we're going to get into the finding of certain things that weren't basically revealed before, but I just wanted to go through a few of these things because what I'm starting to feel is that everything is coming to crescendo point, to a climax worldwide.
You wanted to talk to me about this before we went on air tonight, and I said, no, please save it.
What I am feeling is that the current administration and its head is really bringing out from the woodwork everything that is hidden. It is all out there for everybody to see. It is going to be to the detriment of the United States of America because of one word and one word only when it comes to white society and a few other things going on there, and that word is apathy. They watch things go on and they try to justify wrongdoing. They try to justify lying. They try to justify all of these things, and all it is going to do is help bring them down, bring upon them their demise, and if they're not very careful, it can happen a heck of a lot sooner than most people think.
I'm going to throw this out there. In a bizarro world where Hillary won the election,
yep,
there'd be more secrets.
There would.
There'd be a lot tighter control on information.
Yep.
And the world would actually be in a position where we wouldn't be as far along the line as what we are today, true?
Yes.
But we got Trump the Hutt.
Yes.
In a one-on-wonga. Sorry. We got Trump.
It's necessary.
We got Trump the Hutt. So, because we got somebody who has no idea what he's doing in the job and who's rorting the system to his benefit, what he's actually done is reveal and forced all the nasty infection that's in Washington to ooze its way out into the corridors because people are now scrambling to protect themselves.
Yes, countrywide.
So,
not just in Washington.
Even though America got dudded with Trump, you can make lemonade out of those lemons by looking at it from a perspective that he has revealed a lot of the secrets that Hillary would have kept hidden.
Yep. Absolutely.
But in doing so, though, he's also shot himself in the foot.
Yes.
So it was a great thing then, in hindsight, that he did get in. But America, correct me if I'm wrong, is going to get a hell of a lot worse before it gets a hell of a lot better.
Yes.
Now go with that.
That's exactly what it comes down to. It's going to get a hell of a lot worse because people believe they now have free reign to operate. So all the racism is coming out, all the hatred is coming out, all the bigotry is coming out, all the rots are coming out. everything that you see now along this in the indictments of people in that administration, it's coming out. It's exposing the Republican Party and the fact that they don't give a damn about anyone in that country. All they care about is themselves and keeping their jobs. It comes about showing the United States and its citizens for what they truly are. Some people out there, it's never all, some people out there really want to go forward and make that a really great place to be. They continue to talk about how all the people of the world want to come to the U.S. Bull. No sane individual would want to have anything to do with that place right now.
There was a time,
yes,
I couldn't break my neck fast enough to get over there.
Yes.
And I've been there 3 times in the last couple of years, and every time, I'm not being disrespectful, Matt, so please don't take this the wrong way.
Don't worry about it.
But every time I've been there, I have not felt safe, and it is a toilet.
Yes.
It's an absolute toilet. And the bar is so low that people think it's the norm. The population, the people that live there think that the society they live in, that's just the way it is. Yes, they're rallying against change. Yes, they're trying to fight change and injustice. But it's not going to happen until it gets worse.
But everybody's being exposed, and that is, in my opinion, the good thing. They talked about this idiot, General Kelly, who is now the chief of staff there. And people who don't know, I'll explain it to you. One of the most vile, racist cities in America is Boston. It's in the Northeast. It's not in the South. But that was an absolutely vile place. Now, my mother is from Providence, Rhode Island, and the family is also from Boston. So Rhode Island, Massachusetts next to each other. As my mother used to tell me when I was a kid, when she was growing up, but before you could be friends with the Irish kids or the Italian kids, first there had to be a fight before you could actually learn something about each other and be friends. That is the atmosphere that guy Kelly grew up in. He grew up in a place where if you were black and you went through his neighborhood, there was a good chance you would not get out alive. And they had no idea who you were. So this is his background, and what is being revealed by his actions against the congresswoman from Florida.
This hurts my head.
And by his actions talking about the Civil War and how great a man General Robert E. Lee was. He is exposing the fact of exactly how he feels. And most people are now saying, 4-star general, I don't care. He's an idiot. This is what's going on there.
And
it's hard to talk about this stuff.
And he's another one of Trump's soldiers.
Yes. Well, he's revealed himself as to why. They think the exact same way. And as what did the guy say over there? Game recognizes game. They know exactly where they're both coming from. It is really hard to talk about this, and we will get positive. But the thing is, it has to be exposed. You have to let people know exactly what is going on over there so you can move forward. The bad thing is all of this stuff is coming out and all of these people are revealing their true nature. The good thing is that is how the earth purges itself so things can move forward in a more uniform, friendly, loving, and compassionate manner.
How do these indictments affect Trump's trip to Asia?
They'll be hanging over his head like the sword of Damocles.
Okay.
He knows...
I know what the sword of Damocles is, actually, by the way.
Good.
I like the fact you dropped that in there then.
He knows that is just the beginning.
There's a good chance he could get locked up before he steps off the plane on the way home.
Well, I doubt that.
You say that all the time, Matthew Adams.
It's not going to happen. The thing is, it's a choice that the United States citizenry has to make. They're either going to give this idiot 4 years, or they're going to give him 8 years and they're going to go down in flames.
I hope they give him 8. Because otherwise, what are we going to talk about?
That's one of well, there's a whole lot of things that are going to be going on.
I know. Look, he provides good cannon fodder for us.
He does, but this is the thing. So it's hanging over his head. Obviously, there are going to be more indictments. And back in the Watergate era, in the 1970s, it took, from beginning to end, 18 months for Richard Nixon to finally decide to resign.
Why is Trump going to Asia?
Because of, who knows?
No, think about it. He wants to make America great again. He wants to keep jobs in America. What's there for him in Asia? Asia makes all the products, all the electrical goods, cars and that. Why would he go to Asia when there's nothing there for America according to Trump.
Well, what it means to me is if you're going to take a 2-week trip to Asia, there will not be any nuclear war in the Asia-Pacific region while you're there.
Hang on a minute. I just thought of something. Does Kim Jong-un not have the capability at this point in time to reach Asia?
Yes, he can do anything in Asia.
What's stopping him from shooting something off when his intel can tell him where Trump is in the Asia region?
Nothing.
I just thought of that then.
Nice EMP when the plane's in the air and poof.
I had to explain the other day what an EMP was to somebody. It's an electromagnetic pulse that knocks out all electrical systems, mobile phone to your microwave to your car.
Exactly.
Yeah, life support.
Yep. Now, depending on the plane you're flying...
Oh, yeah.
The plane can glide down. That's a fact. But the new planes that are out there now, well, first of all, Air Force One is a 747. Good luck trying to land it without power. But if it were one of the newer planes like the 787, there would be no chance. It's totally computer driven, and if you knock that out, it's done. You're not pulling up, nothing. It's just going to go into a nosedive. Is that possible? I really don't think anything like that's going to happen. I think they're going there. He was supposed to visit the troops and things like that, but they also announced that he was not going to go to the demilitarized zone, the DMZ, in between North and South Korea. So Japan will be on the radar, the Philippines will be on the radar.
Korea has already shot a missile over Japan.
Couple of times.
Yeah. So what's stopping them from launching... No, I know you're going to say nothing, but there's nothing stopping them from launching one when they know that Trump's there.
Well, the fact of the matter is the United States also moved the B-2 bombers into the area. And Mad Dog, General Mattis, stated, the Secretary of Defense, he stated the fact that if anything happens and North Korea does anything provocative, that they will use those bombers and it will not be pretty. In other words, they're talking about a nuclear conflict. And that, in my opinion, is something that needs to be discussed, because the answer or the retaliation will not come from where the United States thinks it will come from.
Let's discuss this off the back of the break. Beyond 3D.
Back with you here this Saturday evening on Beyond 3D. Clint and I, we're discussing what could possibly happen on this trip that the President of the United States will be taking to the Asia-Pacific region. In my opinion, I think it's very simple. He's going to go on a trip. Nothing is going to happen. When he gets back, we will see. He politically is in danger because of the fact that you have an election coming up in 2018, which means they can lose power in the House and the Senate. If that happens, he will be impeached. There is no question.
I didn't even think of that.
The Democrats, if they get control, they are going to impeach him.
I didn't even think of that. That's exciting.
Now, I said earlier that he doesn't know where retaliation would come from if the United States decided to have a conflict with North Korea. The retaliation is going to come from both Russia and China.
Jinx.
And that is something they are not prepared for. But if their intelligence services tell them, watch your back and watch what China is actually doing, they had better be very, very careful, because they are not going to be able to survive a conflict with both China and Russia.
No.
Therefore, I think nothing will... I think they will not do anything, even if North Korea is provocative and decides to fire another missile over Japan. They need to really be careful.
America was the superpower of the world.
Not anymore.
30 years ago.
Exactly.
30 years ago. Not anymore, but in their minds, they're still the superpower of the world.
Well, and let's leave it at this. People, when you're inside of the United States, it is very insular. They do not let a lot of information from around the world filter in, unless they do let it filter in, but there is that filter. And they only tell them from an American perspective. And most people in America have no clue what is actually going on in the rest of the world. They think they are the be-all and the end-all to existence. They are not, and it's going to take a long time for them to realize this. And when all of a sudden, China, Russia, a lot of the certain European countries all align against them, they're going to go, wait a minute, what is going on here? We really better think about this. They have to be careful.
This isn't the world I wanted for my children.
No.
It's
not at all.
And you're talking about a communist superpower.
The United States is an oligarchy.
Yes. But then again, when you look at the countries that have supported America in all the wars, Australia's been there for every single one. Does that not make us semi-oligarchy as well?
Makes us a target.
It makes us a good target. The only thing saving us is the distance.
The distance is the only thing that's stopping a lot of grief for this country. And ultimately, I have to think it'll work itself out. And the way it will work itself out is they will avoid conflict as long as possible. You will have your election cycle in 2018. The Democratic Party can take over at least Congress. And when that happens, well, let's see. Impeachment procedures will begin just about post-haste, as quickly as possible. And if the man is smart, he will do a Nixon, and he can basically resign. And then what he will do is put in place exactly what Nixon put in place. The person who takes over will pardon everybody.
And that's what's wrong with the world.
Yes.
And that's what's wrong.
Absolutely.
And people cannot complain about that because he was voted in.
He was voted in. Doesn't matter if you voted for the other person. He was voted in. That's what happens. So, oh well.
Blows my mind.
It does. But enough of that, being that it's been about half of the show.
I know. Sorry, people.
Yeah, but, you know, that's...
I just don't like talking politics, but it's so consuming.
It's so consuming, and it is necessary for people to know what is going on, because if we don't tell people what is going on, they too will be suffering from crass and supine ignorance and apathy.
And only believing what they're told.
And only believing certain things that they're told, and depending on the bent of the person doing the talking, you have to be very careful. Look at both sides. But let's do something positive here. Real quick, congratulations to the Houston Astros, winning the World Series in 7 games, 5-1 in the last game, and they beat the best baseball team money could buy, and I literally mean buy, in the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I think that's fantastic.
Because it's their first time winning.
And I think it's fantastic that they did it without a wallet. With a big chunky wallet. And I like the name, the Houston Astros. It's very spacey.
Yeah, I think of the Jetsons, Astro.
Very, very appropriate for our show.
Yeah, and my seat just went boom.
You've just sunk to the floor.
I just sunk to the floor. I'm going to bring myself back up again.
That's right.
But yeah, that's what you like to see. It's like here when the Tigers won.
Yeah,
Richmond.
Yeah, Richmond.
And and what was it, the other team? The Bulldogs before that?
Yes, like the year before.
Western thingies?
Western Bulldogs.
Yes, and so you like to see the teams that don't necessarily always win.
The underdogs.
The underdogs. You like to see them come up every once in a while and make it interesting.
Well, it's uplifting.
It is.
It reminds you that you too can have your day in the sun.
Especially being that the city of Houston went through that huge, big flood from the storms coming through. That's an uplift for the city.
Yes, and that was when Trump was handing out paper towels to people.
Oh, he was handing all kinds of crap to people. He can't get over himself. He was in Puerto Rico throwing the paper towels, but he was in Houston doing all kinds of craziness as well.
You were telling me about Tesla.
I was talking about Tesla earlier. Now, down here in Australia, Elon Musk was on 60 Minutes a week ago.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, talking about... And he was talking about the fact that he is building that huge battery.
I know people that live over that side of the world.
In South Australia.
And they tell me that the battery is no good. Like, it's no good.
Well, this is what is being stated. And the government came out and said, well, look, it would only supply 1% of power. It would only, it really wouldn't do anything.
The whole thing, it's just marketing schlock.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's just marketing schlock.
Look, it can do, if you decide to get a Tesla Powerwall and put it on your daggone garage wall, and you can have a Tesla vehicle and you can charge it up and not have to worry about paying for petrol and actually put money back into the grid so that that way your electric bill and gas bills are lower, fantastic. That's about it.
That's it.
It would take an absolute bucket load of battery power to be able to do anything significant in any of the cities in Australia.
If the Musk doesn't get on board and ditch his electric cars, he's going to get left behind. And I tell you why. Because Tom DeLonge and To the Stars project that we talked about, we played a couple of weeks ago, are about to start developing. They've got the science for it, they've got the schematics for it, they've got the plans for it, they know how it works. an anti-gravitic mode of transport, which obviously will supersede anything Tesla has.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But at the same time, Tesla is releasing photographs, and I'll put them up on the Facebook page, of their maglev train tunnel in Los Angeles.
Now, that's almost the same. That is anti-gravitics.
Yes.
So he's already moving away from electric cars.
Well, he's actually right now, currently there's a lawsuit pending because he has spent so much time with the maglev and anti-gravitics, as you were saying, and also with SpaceX. They have spent so much time concentrating on that they are late in delivering the Tesla 3. And people are getting upset.
It's almost like he's done with Tesla cars. I get the
car
vibe.
Aspect of it.
Yeah, I get the vibe he's done with that whole project thing.
Well, think about it. You're making a car over here, but over here you got rockets that are going to the moon. You can set up a base and from there go to Mars. Which one do you want to do?
Which is why, if you've got a Tesla wall unit right now, I don't see them being installed in most houses within the next 10 years because of the fact that he's moved from that tech, that electric tech, and he's now on the anti-gravitics, which thoroughly supersedes anything electric.
I can agree with that. But at the same time, the thing about Tesla Powerwalls is this, and I think this is what it leads into. It leads into the fact that with that technology and dealing with solar and dealing with basically a new way of looking at powering homes, cars, etc., there's something else that it can be used for, which we're going to have to talk about when we get back, because I think it's extremely important, and it will reveal something to people that's quite interesting.
Hocus pocus.
Beyond 3D.
Welcome back tonight to another edition, Matthew Adams, of Beyond 3D.
Yep. Now, we're mentioning Tesla and we're mentioning electricity. When you mention Tesla and electricity, there's another thing you have to mention, and that is, wait for it, Bitcoin.
Oh, okay, cryptocurrencies, here we go. Guess who's been schooling themselves in crypto?
You?
I've had a good teacher.
Oh, who?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I've had a good teacher the last week and a bit.
You can run this section and you can tell me what you've learned.
I guarantee you know more than I do still.
Okay.
But I've managed to get my head around it.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough. Well, here's how you tie the electricity into it. There are people that are forming groups, and they are trying to figure out a way. When you mine Bitcoin, there is an electric company payment that you have to make on a monthly basis because you are using power.
Okay, what am I going with this? I'm thinking, what's that got to do with Bitcoin?
So what people are now looking at is whether or not they can take a situation like a Tesla Powerwall and use that power that is being stored in the batteries to mine for Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay, you need to stop right there. I want you to continue, but I need to pump your brakes for a tick. You're using terms that a couple of weeks ago I accepted what you were saying based on what you were saying, but I didn't understand the connotations behind the words you were using.
Okay.
So let's just start with the words mining. When a person is mining Bitcoin, I would like you to explain just that concept on its own.
You are taking your computer.
Yes.
Your computer has a graphics card.
Yes.
You are using...
Not us. There's actual miners. When I say miners, there are people out there who do exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not us, not you and I that are mining from our computer at home. It's people that are actually, that's their job. So when you say mining, they're coming up... Hang on. So, the creator of Bitcoin, Matt.
Okay, Mr. Nakamoto, Satoshi Nakamoto,
created a program that allows you to run algorithms that create a particular blockchain of coding.
Of coding.
Of coding. And that one particular piece of coding is an exclusive one-off code that cannot be recreated.
It is unique.
It is unique. Now, Satoshi Nakamoto created that program in which what they call today Bitcoin miners are people that sit down, they're like computer programmers or coders. Will sit down and type in, come up with all their bits and pieces in coding, and then crack a code, a string of coding. That then becomes a Bitcoin. Yes?
Kind of.
Kind of, right.
The code is an algorithm.
Yep.
That algorithm is unique.
Yes.
That unique algorithm cannot be replicated anywhere else.
No.
But there are things that can be done with it. In other words, you can put things into it. Things like a contract. Things like, people are using this. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You can build things into these chains.
Okay.
You can build contracts into these chains. You can build technologies into these chains because it's a unique code.
Yeah.
Only 21 million of these coins will ever be made.
Yes, correct.
If you lose your code,
yes,
too bad.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
You can't get it back. The problem government and banks are having is that they believe Bitcoin is backed by nothing.
Okay, excuse me. Okay, I need to stop you right there. Cryptocurrencies are the future.
Yes. I believe so.
That is a fact. It's the future. Paper money's gone. We've been digital money ever since the FPOS card.
Yep. Absolutely.
And people need to get their head around that. We've already got a cryptocurrency that's been in circulation for at least 30 years. It's digital money.
So instead of thinking of blockchains and all of these different terms, think of it this way. When you decide to send $100 to somebody in a bank wire.
Yes.
That wire has a unique number.
Yes. Coding.
Coded.
Yeah.
It identifies that transaction.
Correct.
Therefore, it will always have that code. It will always identify that transaction to the point where if a government agency wanted to go back in time to see what happened 8 years ago, that code, that unique code for that transaction would be sitting there. They would be able to access it.
Yep.
If they have the encryption key to unlock that information.
There's the crickets.
Basically, what it's like is you have all the codes for all of your transactions. You take them, you put them in the safe. If you have the combination for the safe, you can open the safe up, and there are the codes. There are the transactions.
Okay.
You need the key or the code to open up the safe or the wallet in order to see the transactions.
Okay, now, I know what you're talking about, so let me just break that down again for people that have no idea what Bitcoin is. So we were talking about a cryptocurrency. We're talking about a blockchain code that is created by a programmer using the actual program created by Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, you said there was 21 million Bitcoins, and that's capped at that.
Capped.
There are 21 million codes available to be created on this program that Satoshi Nakamoto made, right? Bitcoin started off, let's just say it started off at 0.3 of a cent. Something ridiculously cheap, right? When I looked at Bitcoin about 2 weeks ago, it was at like $6,500 for one full coin.
In what currency? Australian dollars?
I think that was Australian.
Yeah, it would have been Australian.
Because I think American was about $5,500 or something ballpark like that. Since then, it's about to crack $7,000.
Yeah.
It's about to crack $7,000.
Australian? It's already done it.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the growth is gone up because of demand. Because they claim that Bitcoin, they're not saying a couple of years, maybe 10 years. They're actually talking about one Bitcoin being worth over $1 million. So if you were to buy Bitcoin today for, say, $7,000 and sat on it for like 2 or 3 years, it could actually potentially be worth $1 million.
Yes. Absolutely.
So if you've got $7,000 to invest, you could turn that into $1 million in under 2 years.
Possible.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. That's what can happen. It's a unique situation.
Yeah,
Here's all it is.
Bitcoin can be, anyone can buy Bitcoin. All you need to do is get online and get yourself a free crypto wallet. There are better crypto wallets that charge an annual fee because they've got tighter security. Like I think one of them is Trezor. Coinbase, all that type of stuff. And it's easy to do. You just use your credit card. There is a website, a couple of websites you can buy Bitcoin using your credit card, but you've got to have a crypto wallet first, so you can park your Bitcoin into it once you've purchased it.
Yeah, you download an app called Bread.
Okay.
And that's a really good one.
But money's gone. Money's gone. It's
ultimately, money is gone. But the cryptocurrency thing, it's more than just about the money aspect of it. What it really is, it's a barter system. And it's a barter system that governments can't get involved in.
No, they can't.
They are trying.
They can't.
But here's the thing that's just happened this week. I think, look, there's a lot of terms that are used around Bitcoins and mining. If you want, depending on the coin you want to mine, you can either use, there are certain miners, and basically what that is, it's a computer box. Think of when you get the old box computers, not a laptop, but your old computer box, and the technology that's in it. You have a motherboard in there, you have a graphics card in there, etc.
It's the graphics card that's the
graphics card can be the driver that does the actual mining. You are using that graphics card to
crunch the algorithms with a group of people get together and they combine their computer power to get this algorithm going. I'll give you a good example. SETI. Do you remember when SETI would let everybody use their home computers?
That's basically that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So, but these miners are using high-end computers with high-end graphics cards to do those algorithms, to crunch that data, to create those blockchain codes, and each one then becomes a crypto Bitcoin.
They become a crypto Bitcoin, and based upon your computer power and how much crunching you've done, you get allocated a portion of that.
You get allocated a Satoshi, which is a unit of Bitcoin.
So you can set up a system where you have you buy a whole lot of miners. Now, you can buy a miner from the United States at this point anywhere between $1,200 and $1,500. You can then take that and you can start mining Bitcoin. You can go online. They'll show you how to do it. You can join a blockchain. You can start helping, and as you help, you get paid for your computer usage. Graphics cards, as most people with computers know, run quite hot. They can overheat easily. If you take a look at a mining rig that you can buy online, you will see that it's an open box. The reason it's open is because you have a whole lot of graphics cards that are generating a whole lot of heat.
So it can breathe.
So it doesn't overheat and blow up and stop running.
And then crashes
in an open room.
If it crashes, you'd lose all your your algorithms.
Exactly. So you want to, when you look at these boxes, it just looks like an open, like a rig, like a frame with all of these graphics cards hanging in it. You can run that. Electricity comes in. You have to plug it in. You have to run these things. There's an electricity component that you have to pay for. Getting back to the original premise, if you could have a Tesla Powerwall where you are taking solar energy and using it to power batteries in your home, you can, instead of selling that extra power back to a utility, you can use it for mining purposes. So you're not paying the electric company.
There's the crickets again.
If you plug something if your refrigerator is plugged into the wall, it is drawing power because you have to keep the food in there nice and cold, especially in a freezer. Therefore, the electric company is charging you for using that power. If you have solar on the roof...
I never thought of that. Do you realize that maybe sometimes it's costing you more to run the fridge than it costs to buy the food inside that you're keeping cool?
Yeah, absolutely. But this is the thing.
That's insane.
And the other thing, when you really want to get esoteric, you start thinking about the fact to keep something cool, there's a component within that refrigerator that is boiling, running hot.
Yes. You got to create heat to create cold.
To create the cold. So therefore, what if you can then take that heat and use that to heat the water? It's a long line, but this is what people are trying to come up with. They're coming up with ideas. Anyway, back to currencies. Here's what it comes down to. A cryptocurrency is just another form of exchange.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You can use it or you can use an Australian dollar.
And the only thing that's pushing the price up is demand.
Demand is pushing the price up. But the other thing that's happening right now that's really annoying, and you know something is going to work out in the long run when this happens. People like Jamie Dimon and all the big bankers are saying, and they said, and I quote,
no.
Anybody in this bank buys one of those cryptocurrencies, you're fired.
You know why?
They want it to go lower so they can buy it themselves.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
obvious. It's obvious. So, look, it's...
Amazon are creating their own cryptocurrency right now.
Anybody that is now coming out that used to list on a stock exchange is now wanting to list on a coin exchange with an ICO, an initial coin offering, instead of an IPO, an initial public offering for shares. Why? More lucrative.
I'd be looking, like somebody pointed out to me during the week, I'd be looking more at investing in the companies that are creating the chips that crunch those algorithms.
So invest in NVIDIA and companies like that.
Yeah, companies that create these D-Wave quantum chips. They're the companies I'd be putting money in because they're the tools that are doing the mining for all these cryptocurrencies. There's many other avenues that you can look at investing.
There's a security in Australia that was one of the first that's listed on the stock exchange, and I've watched that basically double in value in the last week as the currency named Bitcoin decided to take off. So yeah, I'm not explaining it well enough for people who don't know what's going on. Suffice it to say this. If you had $100 2 years ago and you put it into a cryptocurrency like a Bitcoin, it would be worth about $2,000 today. In any form.
No,
That's just the way it goes.
Sorry, I wasn't ignoring you. I was just thinking about it. Because I know you can buy Ethereum at the moment for around about $300.
Yeah.
And give it 2 years, that $300 would, in the next 2 years, I can see that $300 Ethereum coin going up. $500,000.
With
easy.
that currency they're using that currency. That currency has more usefulness to it than Bitcoin
Absolutely it does. Bitcoin's more of a prestige coin.
Yeah. Ethereum has uses, and what they're doing is they're programming things into the algorithm. So contracts, I said earlier, contracts can be programmed in. And if that contract has to be adhered to, if it is not adhered to, you can lock that coin up until all criteria are met. So these are the kind of things you need to look at. Another one, Litecoin, is out there. People are making up their own coins at this point.
I saw a pizza coin.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we need to take a break. And I need to order us some dinner.
Hear you.
Beyond 3D.
Welcome back to this week's edition of Beyond 3D. There was one other point I wanted to make, Clint, and this, I think, tells you exactly what's going to happen with the cryptocurrency world. This past week, the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, has decided to list futures on Bitcoin.
It's the future. It is the future. Everybody's going crypto.
So that basically turns Bitcoin into a commodity, which is why all of a sudden you're going to start to see the price start to really move around a bit. That is very, very important because there's futures on gold, there's futures on silver, there's futures on copper, there's futures on certain commodities. You start listing on Bitcoin, what they're basically telling you is they consider it to be a legitimate form that people can use for exchange. Very, very important and a milestone insofar as this making this more legitimate.
Like I said earlier, I don't understand this world. It is changing so rapidly, I cannot keep up.
It's very hard to keep up, but this is what is going on in the world. You have to take all of this stuff into account. Suffice it to say, guys, it's just like, as you were saying earlier, when they first came out with the ATMs. Ultimately, everybody's going to be using it. It's just going to become a natural way of doing things. And the same thing is going to happen with these currencies, especially with the new iPhones coming out, especially with the fact that now you can just like, what do they call these things down here? PayWave?
PayWave.
On the cards, credit cards?
Which sucks because they actually don't take the money out straight away sometimes. Sometimes you got to wait a couple of days and all of a sudden it's disappeared from your account and you got less money than what you thought you had beforehand.
Yeah, but the thing about it is now what you're going to get is with these currencies, there are programs and apps that basically you just say, well, you have a whole Bitcoin and you're going to buy a coffee in the morning. You can break it down and just type in $4 for your coffee. It'll come up with a QR code for $4. You're just going to scan it into the person's machine. They're going to be paid in Bitcoin, and they're going to debit your account for that amount. That's all. It's going to be as simple as that.
I also know Bitcoin ATM machines are going to start popping up around Australia soon. Bitcoin ATM machines.
Well, look, they have ATM machines in Dubai where you can get gold bars.
What? What are you talking about, Willis?
Yes, indeed. You can walk up to an ATM machine in Dubai, and you can put the money in, and it will
What would
give
you do with
a
a gold
bar.
brick?
Who knows? Some people just love doing those kinds of things. You carry them around, you have equity on you. How you're going to get rid of it and use it, that's a totally different story. The beauty of these currencies is the fact that you have, and you can do it with computers, a modicum of exchange where you can take it down to the cent. And when you can use it in that way, you can use it for anything. And people with phones and with the technology today, it's actually an easier way of exchanging goods and services.
It is a brave new world.
So that is what we are going to have to deal with in this brave new world. Now,
Speaking of which,
I
saw Blade Runner 2049.
Ooh. Now, I didn't. But then again, I'm always late with the movies. Ooh, even though I can state that a group of 17 of us have already purchased our Star Wars tickets.
Okay.
And we're going to see that all together.
Nice.
Which would be a very nice thing to do. But anyway, back to Blade Runner 2049. Your thoughts?
The crickets again. I don't know what I saw.
Really?
Yeah. I still don't know what I saw. Now, as you know, the original.
Yes.
I have many, many times lectured on the original in classes. I was super excited to see this. It continues the story. It takes it sideways. And then at super speed straight up. Sonic straight up. And then leaves you thinking to yourself, what have I just watched? What have I just experienced? I'm still trying to process it. I'm not going to give anything away. It's one of those movies you need to watch 2 or 3 times. And it's long. Visually stunning. Absolutely beautiful to watch. But the concepts... So in the original Blade Runner, we're talking about synthetic humans having the same emotional intelligence as a living human. Blade Runner 2049 extends that to consciousness. And it's mind-blowing the way in which they have looked ahead to the future to see where it's all headed. And like I said, I've watched it, I processed it, I walked out thinking to myself, I don't know what I just watched. I need to sit down and go through it again, and I probably need to watch the 2 of them back to back because it is a full story.
Yep.
It's awesome. It was an awesome story, very, very clever, very well done, but I still don't know what I watched.
I think because of that, I do know that it didn't do very well.
But neither did the original.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, for most people, if it's above an 8th grade level...
Oh, they've turned off the brain. They don't want to know.
They don't want to know.
It's a very thinking movie.
All right, they don't. But that's the bad bit. Even though it could be a good movie, people don't want to think.
How do I say this? If they had have turned it into like some shoot 'em up... Like I went and saw Thor Ragnarok last week. Awesome film. Most fun I've had at the movies for years and years and years. Like, it was just pure fun. They couldn't do a Blade Runner sequel like that because it's too much of an intellectual thinking film.
Right.
Okay? So the original deals with the concept of robots having human intelligence or emotional EQ. But like I said, 2049 takes it to the next level with consciousness and beyond that. All I'm going to say is reproduction. Biological reproduction.
Yeah.
And the concepts that they talked about, I can clearly see that that's where we're headed. We talked tonight about cryptocurrencies and the dollar, the petrodollar dying off. It was a snapshot of the future. Just like, I mean, look, what was it, Saudi Arabia the other day gave rights to robots that their human women that live in that nation don't have. They did, Matt. They gave these... passed legislation and laws to give sex robots more rights than human women in that country. That's just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing that that's the way the world's going.
Oh, well.
Imagine if you could hack a sex robot to kill somebody mid-coitus. That's not going to be... That's not too
far off.
It's not far off.
It is not.
For a computer programmer to hack a sex robot to kill someone mid-coitus. It'll happen. It'll happen. I guarantee you it'll happen.
Oh, nothing would surprise me these days. So, that movie, you saw Thor and Blade Runner 2049.
Thor was great. Great film, lots of fun, but Blade Runner 2049 really made me stop and think.
Okay. There are a lot of people out there that love thinking movies, and most people out there do not. They want to be entertained. And so, leave it to the people to decide.
Time and a place for everything. Now,
Absolutely.
There's an anniversary coming up.
Ah, yes, there is. 30 years anniversary for Nexus magazine.
Can I just...
Yeah. Bravo. A Thinking Man's magazine. Really great articles.
Oh, if you want to be turned on in life, pick up Nexus.
Pick that magazine up. So what we're going to try to do is we'll make a phone call this week coming up to Mr. Duncan Rhodes and see if we can have him on to talk about that 30th anniversary and 30 years of bringing actual, decent, clear, truthful news.
I know he listens. Duncan, we're going to give you a call this week, or Matt will.
Yep. And just, let you talk, wax philosophic about what's out there and what's actually going on and the things people are going to need to know, especially going forward. This is, as we said at the beginning of the show, and I think rambled on a bit too much. We're at the point now, Clint and I, you can both feel it, the information that is coming from what I would call the mundane world and the governments and things like that, it's getting to the breaking point for people. People are really getting sick and tired of it, but understand, people, that's necessary for you to take action and to move forward and to leave behind this pathetic dross known as what's going on in the world these days, and so we can go forward as decent, loving, compassionate human beings and evolve the way we're supposed to evolve, because people like Elon Musk are talking about bases on the moon. You can find that out in Nexus magazine. People are also talking about from the moon then being able to step off into what I call the past, which is Mars, and to get it right this time.
I'm going to bring that up with Duncan when we get him on. Yep.
It's very important. And go on from there. This is necessary. So we have to put up with the crap right now, for lack of a better term, in order to get through all of that so we can move forward into something that is truly unique, truly special, and evolve us.
The world's going through what I would consider an ugly divorce right now. Reality from fantasy.
The truth has filed for divorce.
Yes, but the truth has filed for divorce, but the truth has filed for divorce from fantasy, which is the mundane.
Yes.
The mundane is the fantasy.
Yeah, it is. It is. That is the, what do they call it? The veil in the Indian epics and everything like that. That's the veil. It's not real. It's just a veil. You need to get beyond that veil to see what is the truth, and the truth is waiting for you beyond that veil. You got to get rid of the crud. That's what we need to do. So, give us a moment. We will return
after this.
Beyond 3,
Welcome back tonight to our last leg of Beyond 3D. It's fantastic to be back in the saddle this week, Matt.
Indeed.
Something really, really pathetic came up on my personal Facebook page the other day.
Okay.
Did you know that something mysterious was discovered on the floor of the Baltic Sea?
Something new?
No, something old. Something we've been talking about for years, but it was some out there in Facebook land decided to post that something new and exciting has been discovered on the floor of the Baltic Sea, and it's the same UFO that's been parked there for years.
Well, it was new to them.
It was new to them, yeah.
Good Lord.
Plenty of secrets hidden under the ocean.
Indeed. And speaking of secrets hidden under the ocean, guys, if you go to Google Earth, in the Bahamas, and you look near New Providence Island, you will find two lovely little pyramids have been revealed underwater. And
no way.
Of course way.
Really?
And when you look at what's going on, now we all know about pyramids. There are pyramids all over the world, but here's something
Matthew Adams, there are pyramids all over the world that haven't even been discovered yet.
Exactly.
I still believe we've only found about 25% of them, if that.
There's tons of them out there, including on the moon. But the fact of the matter is this. When it comes to... We've only explored 10% of the oceans. Realistically.
Correct.
There are so many things under the ocean that are going to be revealed in the next 100 or so years. It'll make your head spin, including cities. Because what I can say categorically and from experience is a lot of cities that people have lived in prior lifetimes were literally swept underneath the ocean waves and will ultimately be revealed in their own time. This planet is 4+ billion years old. Please stop thinking that we just got here 6,000 years ago.
And its engineers are only just starting to show themselves en masse.
Come on, guys. You're better than that.
And if anyone hasn't seen the footage that both of us coincidentally posted this week on our Facebook page,
Yes.
which is Beyond 3-D on Facebook, both of us posted a mass UFO sighting over California. How many UFOs do you reckon there were?
Holy crud. I can't
Couple of hundred?
It's just amazing. Now, and for all of you who are thinking it, yes, they did look at the images and they did determine that they were not drones.
Balloons or drones.
Or the drones, because sometimes they use the drones to do light shows in the sky. It's not this.
No.
Sorry.
These were orbs that split into 2, into 4, into 10.
And one of the ones that I saw in this video reminded me of something that Mr. Slattery had taken a photo of over Mother's Beach in Mornington here on the peninsula.
Good evening, Pete.
Indeed. I still remember that. And his, when the sunlight hit it, there was a pink hue to his as well. So there's a lot of stuff being revealed.
There was also footage this week of a drone over Afghanistan, and the footage from the drone, what the drone was seeing, and it picked up a UFO in one of the canyons and sort of semi-chased it, and the UFO brought the drone down.
There you go.
There you go.
So there is a lot being revealed, and I personally think that being that the truth has filed for divorce, and you can see all the dross and all the negatives happening in the world, those that support us are going to respond. The beings that are out there looking to make sure humanity evolves are going to respond, and they are going to show themselves as well, and I think that's what's happening right now. That's the way it looks like. That's what it looks like to me. So we put up with the stuff, and the more I hear, I go, yep, keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. And one of the great ones in the States, Minister Louis Farrakhan, of the Nation of Islam, he said the same thing, and everybody talks about the Nation of Islam, the black Muslims, and Trump, and how they don't like each other. But he said the same thing I'm saying right now. He said, keep pushing them, keep it coming.
Oh, pressure makes diamonds.
Just keep it coming. Just
absolutely.
push, and you're just seeing it. And that is the beauty of it. It is going to really reveal all the negativities so you can wipe them out, and they can finally go forward unified. And that's what it's about. So there's a lot of goodies going on.
And I checked my inbox this week. I don't know if you checked your inbox. Did you?
No.
Okay. Well, you don't need to anymore.
Okay.
I need to confirm that congratulations goes to Tom DeLonge. Nominated this year as 2017's UFO Researcher of the Year.
Congratulations for that. And I can guarantee you there are a few people out there that are going, you've got to be kidding me.
I heard some interviews during the week of people in the community very green-eyed. Very green-eyed monstered.
Sour grapes.
Sour grapes, yeah.
Look.
He's not trying to monetize it. He's trying to reveal it. He has the tech. He has the people with the scientific know-how to make an anti-gravitic craft a reality. So why not? And he's putting it on the open source market on the internet for everyone to see. So it cannot be monetized by anybody.
Do it.
Well, that's why you got UFO Researcher of the Year.
You just put it out there. That's what what's-his-face was saying, Dr. Stephen Greer.
Greer, yeah.
Put it on the internet that way.
Those two are working in hand at the moment.
You can see what's going on out there. So that's a good thing. Yeah, you'll start to see you'll know when it's coming to fruition.
Lots of things are revealing themselves at the moment.
They are. And don't think of the negatives as negative. Think of the negatives as positive.
I just thought of another one.
Go for it.
Todd Standing. Bigfoot researcher.
Yes.
He's about to take the Department of what we would call Fisheries and Wildlife. I think it's the Canadian version of that or the American version of that. He's about to take them to court for negligence in their duty, for not protecting Bigfoot, because his documentary, Finding Bigfoot, is the number one movie right now on iTunes and Netflix. And he categorically proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that Bigfoot exists. So if you haven't seen Finding Bigfoot, I highly recommend everyone to try and download that off iTunes or Netflix. I think off iTunes it's about $16, but you own it.
Right. Okay. Well, that would be the Department of Agriculture in the U.S., and you would have to be dealing as well if it's...
He's taking them to court.
Well, that would also be the Bureau of Land Management.
Thank you. And he's going to prove in a court of law that Bigfoot exists, and in doing so, he will get it made a protected species.
Well, that would be an interesting thing.
The taxpayer's dollar.
Okay. Yeah, well, everything's at the taxpayer's dollar.
But why not? I mean, these departments have known about it and have kept it.
No. Well, they keep everything secret that can absolutely make people...
Secret.
wonder and say, well, there's more than we can imagine. So that's just the way it is. But, yeah. So, guys, look... A little bit of dross to begin the show with this week, but the fact of the matter is, look at it with different eyes, and those eyes are telling you the more you see this stuff going on, recognize the fact that it is the Earth purging itself. It is humanity as a group purging itself and making itself look upon itself to see what is going wrong.
Accountable.
And becoming accountable and getting rid of all of these negative old ideas that are stopping us from going forward. You can't go to the moon.
Well, you can, but not just the way we do it.
The way the world is right now. No. Because what you're going to do, you're going to take all of your dirty, negative, nasty laundry with you. No good.
And out there, they don't want that.
That's not what is necessary out there. As a matter of fact, it's not allowed. And if you want to know why it's not allowed, every time you look up at Mars, just say to yourself, this is what happens when you get it wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
So
it's a wasteland. It's a wasteland for a reason.
That's it. It's a wasteland for a reason. And the other wasteland here that's going to be revealed within the next year is another little place known as Antarctica. And the question you need to ask yourself is one very simple question. Why was it frozen?
I cannot wait.
Why was it frozen, people? What's underneath all that ice? And why was it frozen?
I can't wait.
It'll be fun.
I can't wait.
It'll be a lot of fun, actually, when you find out this one. Anyway, guys, that's enough for this week.
Already?
Yes, it is. Thank you for...
How did that go so quick?
It does. It literally does. You can't help yourselves. But anyway, guys, take good care of yourselves. Check out the Facebook page, Beyond 3-D. Look it up. Comment. Yeah. Send us your comments.
We'll talk to you.
We'll talk to you. We'll answer you. We'll curse you out if you... off. But the fact of the matter is, comment. We love to hear what you think. about the topics we talk about. You might think it's drivel, but something within your heart or within your head might say that rings is true.
Resonate.
So that's what we're looking for. Clint, you take good care.
Matthew, you take good care.
And we will catch you guys next week for another edition of Beyond 3D.
You can bet on it.
All the best.
Good night, everyone.
Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.